everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast to help us and other busy, overwhelmed Christians move out of frustration and stress and into freedom and abundance and peace. I'm Liz Ferrix, and this is my husband, Evan.
Hey, happy Friday.
Yeah, everybody's favorite day of the week.
Or will we ever get tired of, I think just a couple days ago, we were like, maybe we shouldn't even mention the day of the week anymore, but I may not be able to quit.
So this week, we have spent the whole week talking about connection. We work our way through the CSCs. They are being calm, surrendered, centered, connected, and complete. And we've been just spending a week on each of those. So this week we did connection, and today we are going to talk about some of the practicalities, the nitty gritty of connection.
Yeah. And just as a real quick aside, can you believe today's episode 45? We spent 45 episodes just talking about those 5 things. And we still have more to say. I mean, they're just so amazing.
You know, I think it is so hard in our society. Like, we have a society that's designed for isolation in a lot of the ways. We talked a little bit about that on Monday, that value on American individualism. And I actually was thinking today about how, when you look at the way communities were designed 50 years ago, 100 years ago,
yeah,
everybody saw each other throughout the week. And this is something that you and I have talked a lot about.
That was before garage door openers?
Well, that too.
Oh.
But just living in a tight-knit community where you worked with the same people that you went to church with, that you saw every day.
Yeah, a lot more interdependence. I mean, our world's so big now, you don't even have to buy your groceries from the place down the street. You can order them from the internet, and who knows where they come from. Whereas, like before, you're eating Farmer Bob's tomatoes, and he's buying your nails or whatever you make if you're a blacksmith, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. So we used to have much more, it used to be much more natural to have connection, but I think now you almost have to go out of your way. In some ways, we can still be connected. We can be connected today, now, despite the fact that we don't live 100 years ago.
Yeah.
There are some benefits to living today. But the reality is that regardless of where you're at in your life, if you don't be intentional about it, nothing's going to change.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then there was, you could be isolated back then too.
Yeah, but I think it was harder. I mean, today, for instance, as I go through my day, the people that I talk to are you and our daughters, and then various friends that I have that I interact with actually mostly through the internet or through Voxer. We've talked about that app on here before. But that's really about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a couple neighbors that we chat with when they happen to be outside at the same time as us, but there's nobody that I would, if I don't go out of my way to interact with someone, I wouldn't have to interact with anyone, except for you guys.
Sure.
Can't really get away from your family. I think that because we're kind of having to swim upstream here, we have a society that's designed for isolation in a lot of ways, so we have to be really intentional about trying to reach out and trying to make the most of the connections you do have. That's one of my practical tips for today is if you think of the connections you have as like little streams of water and you think of intentionality as adding water to those streams, you can make them a lot bigger.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that I like to do just for the sake of being intentional is to try to go to the same checkout person.
Yeah.
Like wherever I'm checking out, if I recognize a person, I try to go to them every time. And so I can build a relationship. And I have, over the last few years, there's a couple of the grocery checkout people that I'm good friends with now, which is super fun. It's so fun going to a place and being regular and knowing people and having them, ask what's going on in your life. And it's so different. Maybe it's my military background, but
could be.
It's so different from, always being a stranger.
Yeah, always being the new kids, always.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely get the needing to be intentional thing. As much as we talk about the CSCs and being intentional, that's something I have to push myself in too, just to be, like in a crowd, like on a Sunday morning at church, like it's way too easy to just show up, do your thing, and leave again.
Right.
And it's hard to seek out. I mean, I don't know. I always feel like I'm interrupting somebody if I'm gonna go start a conversation with them, when you're really just starting a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. It's easy to look at our lives and be like, we're so isolated, but I think we're so used to not taking advantage of the opportunities that we do have. One of the things we've found as a family is that we tend to be the last ones that leave from our church on Sunday mornings. And
well, yeah, I guess I was thinking of a time recently when yeah, that's true. And I like that. But there was a time recently where I went to church by myself. The kids were sick and you weren't there. And it was just kind of like, I guess I'll leave now. And I was one of the first people to leave just because I didn't, I don't know, it was out of my normal routine.
Yeah.
I would have had to, and I wasn't intentional about making it work and sticking around. I was kind of like, well, I guess I'll go, and that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing about being practical about your connections, is really being intentional. When you do have opportunities, take them, stay an extra 10 minutes at church and talk to somebody, or talk to your local cashier, talk to your neighbors, Facebook somebody that you haven't talked to in a while,
Yeah, especially for those live and in-person situations, like after church or maybe even at work, there's going to be some, I think we leave because we don't want it to be so awkward, or we don't want to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And it takes time.
Yeah. But like, especially if you're in a group, I think I left because I didn't want to just stand there with nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
In the hall waiting for, because I don't know. So anyway, just embrace the discomfort a little bit. I'm talking to me now. And I also think, I like what you're saying too. Like, the opportunities that are there, I would encourage us all to look for the real live ones. Mm-hmm. Because, and I love Voxer. I use it all the time too.
Yeah, I was going to put a plug in for Voxer
definitely.
too.
And that feels more real life than like Facebook or something. Those can be real connections.
If you have people that you want to work on, several years ago, the person that is one of my very best friends right now, we had lost touch. We'd been friends back in college, and she messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, I am struggling to find close relationships, and I would like to work on our relationship. And so
nice.
We started Skyping, once a month, and emailing, and she got Voxer, and now we talk almost every day,
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, and that's intentionality again.
Exactly.
Like, try to make it work, because, I don't know. I guess I could think of myself, like, if I'm leaving a real social situation where there's actual connection possible, that's a missed opportunity.
Well, and we've talked earlier this week about how important connection is. We are designed to live in community, and without that community, we have the same problems 50 years from now that that we have today. Like, we need people to grow us and change us. We need interactions to be able to do all the one another's in the Bible. If we're not in community, we're missing out.
Yeah, and we need, we need to be around and interact with people that are different than us.
Yeah.
And it's
stretched a little bit.
It's really easy on social media to just interact with people like you.
That is so true.
And
I always think social media is like an echo chamber. So much.
It can be.
It
doesn't have to be, but it definitely.
Oh gosh.
It seems, I think, in some of the Facebook algorithms, and maybe and even Google searches, they try to figure out the kind of stuff you want to see and show you that. And then it tends to weed out discord, unfortunately.
Yes. There's no argument. It's just people posting something, and then everybody, all their friends being like, yep, you are so right. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, we need people to force us to think and to be able to have those conversations, to have a little conflict and be okay with it. Even if it's just somebody saying, no, I totally disagree with you there.
Yeah. I think some people really connect over disagreement and argument. We don't, but so maybe some people don't need to hear that, but that is a kind of connection, and it's valuable if there's mutual respect and if there's people follow the rules and we don't resort to name calling and stuff. That's a valuable kind of connection, that's for sure. So some of the other things real quick that we talked about this week, just some practical reminders here. We talked about saying yes to opportunity, especially when it has to do with finding a mentor, because there's no way to grow and advance in your whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, your career or some creative endeavor, or even the good works that God's laid out before you. You're not expected to do that in a vacuum. Find somebody who is doing that and hang out with them. That was on Monday. We also talked about looking for the connection pieces in people's biographies, because like when you hear a success story, it's easy to hear that as, oh, that person really just is winning at life, but really when you listen close, they're like, oh, this person helped me in this way, and I learned this from that guy, and this person really corrected me. I was heading down a bad path until this guy came along. So there's nobody's just climbing Mount Everest all by themselves. And we also talked about the importance of examining what kind of friend you are yourself, because that's a big part of connection is you. I mean,
yes.
you're the consistent part of every connection you will make.
Right. Yes. Any relationships, you are the constant there.
That's right. And so, we talked about other people being propellers or maintainers or energy vampires, but what about me? What about you? Am I doing one of those things, and is that helping or hurting the relationship?
Yeah, and that's also something that you can work on. As we're encouraging everybody, ourselves, you guys, to get better at connection, that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I'm throwing out all these different relationships. If you have somebody that's a maintainer, it's possible that it's the synergy between you guys that turns into a maintainer relationship. And if you change that up, you could turn it into a propeller relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that gets back into the importance of different kinds of people hanging out to do different jobs.
Definitely.
Didn't you have an experience this week where you met another person who had a very similar personality type as you, and it was just like, I couldn't see myself really getting along? And I mean, what would working on a project with that person be like? It just wouldn't really work. You're too similar.
Yes.
So there definitely is harmony in different personality types and stuff, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
And the last one I have here is we want to encourage ourselves to let experiences hone our relationship skills. So we're not going to get any better at any of this stuff without trying something and making mistakes and then trying something else again. And that's really important. That's a valuable process.
You definitely have to keep doing that. And, like we talked about, I don't remember what day it was, but just that idea of steeping ourselves in the fact that we're beloved by God and being able to come from that place of being loved and, starting with our connection with the Lord and moving out of that connection with Him into our connection with other people. I mean, that's so important.
Yeah, that's the baseline. That's the first relationship, the primary relationship.
Right.
The primary connection.
Yes. You can't really jump to, hey, I'm going to have an awesome marriage, or I'm going to be an awesome mom, or I'm going to be an awesome friend, if you don't start with, I'm going to be an awesome, growing in my relationship with Jesus kind of person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really the first three CSCs, calm, surrender, and connected. Well, all of them have...
Yes.
Yes, calm, surrender, and centered. All of them have to do with a relationship with people and with God, but they kind of have a progression there.
Yes. Yeah, you have to have the internal and the stuff with you and the Lord right before you can grow out of that. Have that foundation before you can build a house. Yep. A house with a hangout room. Yeah. So you can connect to people.
A living room.
See how I brought that around?
Yeah, very good.
Thanks. Anyway, we are so glad that you guys are here. We're here with us today, and we love you guys and we pray for you guys regularly. Thank you to everybody that has been sharing the show and has been encouraging about, how things are going with the show. If you guys have any suggestions, we would love to hear them, especially if any topics you want to do, because we're almost back through the CSCs and I'm sure we'll find something else to talk about. But
yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, you can, the best way would probably be to join our Facebook group and make a comment. Or you can make a comment on our webpage, epiceverydaynow.com, or Twitter. Links are in the description for that. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. All right. Well, hope you guys can just be a little more intentional, including when I say you guys, I mean us too, because we listen to our own episodes. So, all of us, let's all work on being a little more intentional, a little more connected with the other people in our lives.
Sounds good. Let's go.
All right.
Happy weekend.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.